Good day, class. Today we are going to study about public opinion and corporate reputation. So this is our two topics for Module 3, public opinion and corporate reputation. As we define public relation, that public relation is about management of corporate reputation. Okay? So it is a planned process. Public relation is, I will repeat again that public relation is a subset of promotion because the objective of promotion is communication. All right, to start with, at the end of this module, students will be able to understand the different theories when it comes to public relation influencing the interest of the public. And then we are going to study in corporate reputation what is corporate reputation, the different types of corporate reputation, the dimensions of corporate reputation, what is the difference between reputation and public opinion. So these are the objectives of this module number 3. And to continue, public opinion is about, remember that public relation, the marketing communication tools is to educate, to inform, and to persuade or influence. Okay. So here in public opinion, we are going to study about the theories, concepts, and principles underlying persuasion and influence. So basically, there are 3 theories related to persuasion and influencing. Why do we need to persuade? Because we need to persuade the public interest or the public in order to get the right, the branding that we want to be interpreted by our consumers. All right, to continue, public opinion is the totality of many individual opinions on a particular issue that affects a group of people. So a basic example here is, what is the public opinion on the closure of ABS-CBN? What is the public opinion with regards to dolomite, the artificial white sand that was covered or placed in the coastal waters of Manila Bay? So what is the totality of the individual opinions on that particular issue? What is the opinion of the Filipino people against the celebration of Christmas season during the time of pandemic? So we need to understand the opinion of the public. And with regards to public relation, we need to understand how the public perceives our company. Like for example, Manila Electric Company, how does the public, with the rise in kilowatt hour consumption, how does the public perceive Manila Electric Company as a company? So Manila Electric Company has to understand what is the opinion of the public towards their company. Now, opinion and attitude. Is there a relationship between opinion and attitude? Is there a significant difference between opinion and attitude? So let's start with this opinion side. We say that opinion is the expression or an expression of an attitude on a particular topic. So opinion is the expression of an attitude on a particular topic, while attitude is the manifestation based on the person's personal factor, cultural, educational, and there are three more attributes. So let's try to understand about this particular expression of an attitude on a particular, like for example, this person. Okay, uh, let's try to get the opinion about the closure of ABS-CBN. ABS-CBN. Okay. So, if you want to get the opinion of this person is going to express his or her attitude on a particular topic, which is the closure of ABS-CBN. However, the attitude of this person will be based on his personal. What is this personal? It might be physical, emotional ingredients of an individual, including size, age, and social status, meaning to say the demographic of that person. Cultural. What is the cultural factor that involves the environment, lifestyle of a particular country or geographic country? Um, let's say if you will get the opinion of a particular person, the age of let's say 35 years old, and then you will get the opinion of a person with regards to ABS-CBN closure at the age of let's say 15 years old. So the opinion of this adult and the opinion of this youth might have a different opinion because of the personal attitude or manifestation of that person. And then, of course, educational. For example, this particular person, let's say, for example, this one, uh, let's say, who studied, let's say, in a formal education, and this one who does not have a formal education. So, but this one has a formal. So, the attitude when it comes to education, if you will ask the opinion of this person who is a learned and unlearned, so the opinion may totally vary. Why? Because of the one attribute when it comes to attitude, which is education. So, when attitude is strong enough, they surface in the form of opinions. So, when opinions are strong enough, they lead to verbal or behavioral actions. Try to uh, let us try to go on this. When attitude is so powerful, when attitude is uh, so potent, they surface, okay, they surface in the form of opinion. And when opinion are strong enough, they lead to verbal or behavioral actions. Behavioral actions like, for example, you go to the parliament of the street, you hold placards. So that is a behavioral actions. Or even hurt somebody, no? That is a form of behavioral attraction. So when attitude is greater than opinion, when attitude is greater than, it results in the form, it surface in the form of opinion. That is attitude. And when attitude is, and when opinion is so strong, let's say this is the attitude, this is the opinion, okay? When the opinion are strong, they lead to a verbal actions of that particular person. Next attribute of is familial, meaning to say um, your family roots, no? Uh, the values that children acquire from their parents, their political cleaning, no? Religious, no? Um, like for example, if you will get the opinion of Muslim between a Christian about pork eating, therefore it's totally different because Muslims are prohibited to eat pork. So it's a different opinion, okay? And attitude, and of course social class, position within society. As social status changes, so does their attitude. Like for example, social class, you get the opinion of people living in Ayala Alabang versus people who are living in tenements. So that is a very different opinion or attitude because of those attributes regarding social class, and of course race. Different attitude of people living in Southeast Asia, different attitude of people who grew up in United States, people who grew up in Europe. So these are the different attributes that, you know, changes the attitude of a person. Okay? All right. Public opinion or public relation generate strong positive public opinion. Of course, the basis of that is if people perceive a brand, a company that really has a positive corporate reputation. Okay? That a company has a corporate social responsibility, that the company is extending help to communities like ABS-CBN, no? Like SM Foundation. They have some programs that help the less fortunate families. So, public relation generates strong public opinion. And of course, question is how do companies generate strong public opinion, or how do companies be able to execute, implement programs that will generate positive public opinion? Well, according to our definition, that public relation is to inform, persuade or influence, and educate. Okay? Because public relation is genuine and true. It is real. Okay? So in order for you to create public opinion, positive public opinion, you therefore have to communicate and try to get and persuade and influence the heart and soul of the public. And how are you going to do that? There are three theories. And number one theory is the theory of cognitive dissonance, elaboration, likelihood theory, and social judgment theory. Let's start. The theory of cognitive dissonance. Let's first understand what is cognitive and what is dissonance before we can apply these two words to theory and concept. Okay, so when we say cognitive, it means to say it is with regards to values, belief, thinking, okay, and dissonance is the conflict or the uh, the conflict. This is the misunderstanding. There is indifference. There is what you call inconsistency. That's the term, inconsistency. Okay? So, inconsistent. There is inconsistency with your belief, with your values. It is not consistent. It is not parallel. If you are going to the right, that is consistent. But if one of the direction goes like this, opposing, that is the inconsistency, and that is called the dissonance. So what is cognitive dissonance? Cognitive dissonance is used to describe the mental discomfort, no? That's why it's called cognitive. That results from holding two conflicting beliefs, values, or attitude. No? That is the cognitive. If your values, beliefs, and attitude is inconsistent, then you are suffering or incurring cognitive dissonance. People tend to seek consistency in their attitudes and perceptions, so this conflict causes feelings of unease or discomfort. This inconsistency, no? This dissonance between what people believe and how they behave motivates people to engage in actions that will help minimize feelings of discomfort. So, in public relation, not all the public is 100% in harmony with what you are trying to tell them. So, a lot of people might have a inconsistency with their values, belief, and attitude. So, the role of public relation is to understand, persuade them, influence them by understanding and applying the theory of cognitive dissonance. Okay? So, how do you know that there is cognitive dissonance? Number one is feeling uncomfortable before something or making a decision. Number two, trying to justify or rationalize a decision that you've made or an action you have taken. Number three, feeling embarrassed or ashamed about something you've done and trying to hide your actions from other people. Number four, experiencing guilt or regret about something you've done in the past. Doing things because of social pressure or fear of missing out, even if it wasn't something you wanted to do. No? So, these are, so the theory of cognitive dissonance is individuals tend to avoid information that is dissonant or inconsistent or there is conflict or opposed to their own point of view and tend to seek out information that is consonant without conflict with or in support of their attitude. So therefore, the role of public relation is to influence and persuade, and in order to do that through art and science, you have to understand the theory of cognitive dissonance so that the public relation have to identify what are those values, attitude that is in conflict with the message that you are delivering. So you apply the theory of cognitive dissonance. Theory is the theory of social judgment. There is what you call the latitude of acceptance and the latitude of rejection. So people have range of opinions on a certain subject anchored by a clear attitude. And while it is seldom possible to change this anchor position, communicators can work within the range called a person's of latitude of acceptance or latitude of rejection. So basically, what is this theory of social judgment? Okay. So social judgment theory, or the acronym SJT, is a self-persuasion theory that was proposed by Caroline Sheriff and Carl Hovland. It defines as the perception and evaluation of an idea by comparing it with current attitudes. According to this theory, an individual weighs every new idea. So we try to evaluate every new idea that comes to our mind or we hear. And then we compare it with the individual's present point of view to determine where it should be placed on the attitude scale. So it has a, it has a scale, all right? It has a scale. The latitude of acceptance and the latitude of rejection, okay, on a particular idea. Okay. All right. So in other words, this social judgment theory, okay, this a person's position on an issue is dependent on the following. Maybe number one, the person's most preferred position is their anchor point. This is the anchor point. Okay? And the person's judgment of a various alternatives spread across their latitudes of acceptance, rejection, and non-commitment. That's the anchor point, the neutral one, non-commitment. And the person's level of ego involvement with the issue. Let's take, for example, the closure of ABS-CBN. So, what is your latitude of acceptance and commitment and rejection on that particular idea? Are you in favor, or do you disagree or disagree? Are you favorable or unfavorable? Okay. So, the key point of the social judgment theory is that attitude change, how? By persuasion or influence, is mediated by the judgmental processes and effects. Put differently, persuasion occurs at the end of the process where a person understands a message that compares the position it advocates to the person's position on that issue. Consider the course choices available to you. For the sake of argument, let's say you have 4 required courses to finish, but have 1 3-credit hour elective remaining. That's an example. What courses open to you would you definitely not enroll in no matter what? So those courses fall in your latitude of rejection. Do you think anyone could persuade you to take a class that falls in that latitude? Not likely. And the more ego involved you are in the decision to enroll, in the course, the more you care about that decision, the larger your latitude of rejection will be. Persuasive messages that advocate positions in your latitude of rejection will be constructed by you. That is, they will appear to the farther away from your anchor point that they actually are. That's not good news for the would-be persuader. Now, so there is, if you are really convinced, maybe this one is will go here, no? So you are really accepting the idea rather than going here in your latitude of rejection. So that is the theory of social judgment. That is the second theory that public relation is going to an option to do and apply in order to have a corporate reputation positive to the public. Maslow hierarchy of needs, no? We all know this, that on this portion, this is the highest, which is being needs, okay? And this, from here to this, is the deficiency needs. So the theory explains that you have to satisfy this level before you go to this level. And the highest is self-actualization, or what we call the self-fulfillment needs. Of course, these two levels, 1 and 2, they are called the basic needs, which is safety needs and physiological needs. And once you are satisfied with your basic needs, you go to the next level, which is the psychological needs, which is self-esteem and love and belongingness. And of course, the highest is the self-fulfillment needs. So everybody knows this Maslow hierarchy of needs, no? During the time when we are senior high school, we are already discussing this, no? And this is important to the public relation because the Maslow hierarchy is a motivational theory for motivation. So again, we are talking of one communication tool of a public relation, which is communication dealing with persuasion and influence. So now we go to the elaboration likelihood model. Here, there is a keyword here, meaning to say elaborate. No, you have to analyze. You have to do critical thinking in order for you to elaborate a particular idea or a particular opinion. Okay? So, what is the elaboration likelihood model, or ELM? People are persuaded in two ways. Okay? When they are interested and focused enough on a message to take direct central route or route to decision making, and the other one is the peripheral route. So this elaboration is a dual process theory describing the change of attitudes. The ELM was developed in 1980 by two experts, Petty and Cacioppo, in 1980. So the model aims to explain the different ways of how we elaborate or process stimuli, why they are used, and their outcomes on an attitude. Okay, right. So the Elaboration likelihood model, persuasion occurs internally. You can persuade someone who trusts you by appealing with a convincing argument. Could be back up with solid facts. Solid. Assessing, accessing emotions. However, nobody can hope to persuade anybody with 100% guaranteed success. You can only design for persuasion. Ultimately, that audience member or user has to persuade himself or herself of the validity of the message. So this is where the likelihood elaboration model comes in. So the ELM posits that when a persuader presents information to an audience or listener, a level of elaboration results. Elaboration refers to the amount of effort an audience member has to use in order to process and evaluate a message. So it's like there is a sender of the message. In order for the receiver to be convinced, he has to elaborate that message or encode that message, elaborate, no, in two ways. One could be through a central route or a peripheral route. Okay? So, meaning to say, the ELM has determined that when facing a message, people react by using either of two channels, or sometimes a combination, reflecting the level of effort they need. As such, they either experience high or low elaboration, and whichever of these will determine whether they are central or peripheral. Okay? When we say central route processing, it involves a high level of elaboration. If this is your elaboration level, it is very high. While peripheral, it is low level of elaboration. So meaning to say, here in the central route processing, the audience or user scrutinizes, evaluates, critiques the message contents rather than reads casually because of high motivation level. The users know what's important to them. They will invest in examining a credible design's message. So if users are persuaded via central route processing, they will have focus on the message strength because they'll be reckoning so much on what the message is telling them. A decision to agree with it will be because of the user's work that is taught. They'll also be more likely to focus and ignore distractions such as pop-ups as they seek their goals. So very critical, no? High level. Now, other audience or users are using the peripheral route processing. It involves a low level elaboration. The user isn't scrutinizing the message for its effectiveness. As such, other factors can influence him or her, including distractions. These include such users as those who know that they want an item but do not know much about the detail of that item. For example, someone's wanting a new laptop that's good but cheap is more likely to process by the peripheral route than one who is knowledgeable about the specific features or specifications of laptops. So if the message succeeds in persuading them, such as an effective web page that engages and informs, these users will follow through with the call to action. their behavior will be more enduring and less likely to be changed. However, they may change again if they process another convincing argument. So that is elaboration likelihood model. So there are various steps or process or levels to influence opinion. No? The first is people are driven by self-interest. If you satisfy the self-interest like the Maslow hierarchy of needs, you go to the second level. And once you satisfy the self-interest of that individual or person, and then you have the likelihood to influence the opinion. So the first step is the self-interest. What is the interest of that public? That I need to communicate, I need to satisfy so that I can persuade the opinion of that public. So next we go to corporate reputation. Again, public relation is defined as management of the corporate reputation. And of course, there is a saying, it takes years to build a reputation, but it takes only less than 5 minutes to destroy a reputation or ruin a reputation that you build for how many long years. So corporate reputation, according to Abraham Lincoln, character is like a tree. No? If this is a tree, that is the character of that person. And the shadow of the tree is the reputation. So this one is the character. No? So if this is a company, the company is the character of the company. Let's say the company like ABS-CBN, and the shadow is the reputation. No? That is according to Abraham Lincoln, because the shadow is what we think of it. The tree is the real thing. So this reputation comes from the public opinion. Okay? And opinion is driven by attitudes. And attitudes are so many influencing attributes, no, that we learn. Okay? So reputation, according to British Institute of Public Relations, is what we say, what we do, and what other people say about you. So that is corporate reputation. And so it's quite, reputation is not just a click of a finger that every company can easily get, no? Because corporate reputation is the overall estimation in which an organization is held by its internal and external stakeholders based on its past actions and probability of its future behavior. No? And, you know, it is not an easy task, guys, uh, it is not an easy task to build reputation, because reputation takes time. And what other people say about you. No? So that's why, in order to understand what is your reputation, or how your company is perceived, no, by your public, you have to do a public opinion survey. No? You have to do a public opinion survey, and in order for you to understand what is the uh, perception of the public towards your company. A widely circulated, often repeated message of minimal variation about an organization, revealing something about the organization's nature, another uh, form of communication. So when it comes to an organization's success and benefits, one of the most important things that come to mind is this corporate reputation. There is no doubt about the fact that if a company wants to be successful in the first place, then it will need a great reputation. Okay? And that is corporate reputation. Having a good reputation would mean that the company is performing well, very profitable, and the shareholders' wealth is maximized and is able to provide the customers with what they need and want. So there is no doubt about the fact that corporate reputation tends to be one of the most important aspects of a growing business. But the question is, but why is corporate reputation so important in the first place? If you are asking yourself this question as well, then you are in the right place, no? Why is corporate reputation very important? To define corporate reputation, we can say that it is basically the overall estimation of the company or any organization that is held by the stakeholders, no? Uh, In simpler words, corporate reputation is the impression that significant people have about your business. The company's past actions and future predictions are factors that govern corporate reputation, no? Your corporate past actions and future predictions. No? That's why I am always giving an example of ABS-CBN because of the positive corporate reputation of this media company to the public. So it seems quite inevitable that corporate reputation is a very important part of the business that decide what kinds of perception your audience and prospects are going to have about your brand, its history, and its potential to survive in future. However, ABS-CBN was politicized. Yes, that is true. Now that you know the definition of corporate reputation, we are going to have a little talk about the value of it as well. You see, corporate reputation is really important for any company or organization. But why exactly it is important? Again, that's my question. When you want to find out the real importance of corporate reputation of the company, then you can easily do by comparing the conversions and return of investment that the company enjoys when the reputation is positive to the time when online presence has negative repute. This because you will be able to see the effect that reputation has on the company and the value of it in the market. No? And there is no doubt about the fact that information travels really fast in this world, social media, world that is filled with, technology. So if the stakeholders are providing negative information about the company, then there are chances that the word will travel very fast amongst the people. As a result of that, the company might have some bad reputation, which in turn will decrease the value of the value on the market. Okay? There have been many cases where companies and organizations have been shut down just because they couldn't handle the impact of bad corporate reputation. Okay? Like for example, there have been, uh, So there is no doubt about the fact that it is really important for any business to have a good corporate reputation, positive, so that they can maintain their success, as well as not to lose the value in the corporate market. There is only one thing to say in here, and that is corporate reputation seems to be pretty soft and sophisticated concept for the businesses. Most of the businesses relies on their reputation in order to be always present in the market. Example, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, that is a matured a company already. If you are trying to do that in a product life cycle, but still, they wanted to maintain a positive reputation. So let us move forward. So there are many types of corporate reputation. Actual reputation, what really are, what we really are. No? If you are in the business, you ask the question, what we really are is your actual reputation. And what we say we are, what we say we are, that is communicated reputation. So actual reputation consists of current attributes of the company privately held by individuals. While communicated reputation, what we say we are, whether through controllable media, advertising, marketing, PR, and sponsorship, or uncontrollable word of mouth, news reports, commentary, or social media. No? So this is the feedback of what the company or what the opinion of the public say what we are, who we are. Okay? And another one is conceived reputation with the keyword what we are seen to be. And the next one is construed reputation. The guiding question is what we think others see. So these are, questions that will aid the company in answering to understand these different types of corporate reputation. Okay? And we have also covenanted reputation. What is the key question? What the brand stands for. Example, Nike, Adidas, Reebok. These are famous, sports shoes or sportswear that wanted to maintain their corporate reputation. So, covenanted reputation, what the brand promises and the stakeholders expect from the organization. It consists of optimum positioning of an organization in its market within a given time frame. We have also desired reputation. What is it? Found in the vision and the mission statement of the company, what we wish to be. That's your guiding question. And there is also ideal reputation, what we ought to be, the principle of shared value. And in the midterm, we are going to study corporate shared value and corporate shared responsibility. So, if there are types of corporate reputation, there is also some attributes about dimensions of corporate reputation. Employees by way of performance, the leadership, team in terms of workplace, and also the consumers by way of perceived product, services, social responsibility, sincerity, citizenship, and corporate social responsibility or CSR. So, what is the differentiation between public opinion and corporate reputation? Well, for corporate reputation, it is the overall assessment of an organization predicting support by constituents that depend on what to deepen an organizational performance. Not unlike public opinion, it is expressed by a significant number of persons or individual on issues, okay, on issues of interest they want organization to take care of. So it is better to understand the public opinion of the stakeholders, whether you are doing a positive or a negative corporate reputation, so that you can take action to persuasion, influence, information, and communication. Public opinion, it comprises of social image, financial image, product, recruitment image. No? Reputation, the overall estimation in which the company is held by its constituents. It is an index of company's worth or value. So, if you are familiar with this Apple, no? Sorry for my drawing, this is an Apple brand, the maker of iPhone. You can see what kind of, you know, corporate reputation this company is doing. Of course, why do public opinion and corporate reputation matter? 70 to 80% of market value comes from hard to assess intangible asset, and that is reputation, that includes brand equity, intellectual capital, goodwill, making corporate reputation vulnerable to damage. You see? So 20 that is, if that is 80, 20% is 80% is more on the intangible. This one is on the tangible. If that is 70%, 30% is more on the tangible. But look at this one. So it is really very important, no, to a certain company, whether you are micro, small to medium enterprise, to understand what is, no, the opinion of the public to your brand. That's why there is an activity that you are going to do as an output for the midterm, which is the public opinion survey. So, reputation provides competitive advantage. Recovering reputation, it's much more difficult than building and maintaining it. This is what you call, it takes only 5 minutes to destroy a brand. No? So positive reputation and opinion breeds or multiplies trust. Trust is positive feeling and the willingness to overlook less than satisfying interactions. No? So reputation is very important. So this is the public opinion survey. It is about a tool that we use to understand the public. It is a tool to predict the opinion or the attitude on a particular issue or a, proposed program. So it's like it consists of set of questions directly asking what is the opinion of the public towards that company. No? Right. So it's a poll taken by sampling a cross-section of the public in an effort to predict election results or estimate public attitude. So SWS during time is a public opinion survey, but we will also do a public opinion survey to a certain entrepreneur that you have. So that company may know what kind of perception their customers is reflecting on that company. So social media creates a sense of community and familiarity between organizers and consumers, and this is the most popular public promotional mix right now, no? Social. Okay? So public relation as a policymaker should understand how employees engage in the social media environment. So we call this not a public opinion survey, but a social media audit, because there is a story that is being told by the users or followers of your social media. So it is much better to understand that story so that you can try to inform, persuade, and educate your, people who are following your social media site. No? And another thing, it is also to convert those followers into customers. That is the purpose. So doing social media audit, these are the different activities, no, to follow. The type and size of community, brand guideline, engagement with stakeholders, all right, and in a scale of 1 to 10, in a two-way meaningful instruction, so you try to identify and make a scale also, no? You can tailor fit a poll survey or a questionnaire that can be used to understand about social media platform. And whether it is used for awareness, customer service, research, and crowdsourcing or drive, well, you have to do a social media audit. Or, if not a social media audit, a public opinion survey. There is also what I call the frequency of conversation, uh, which is on a frequency of time. Okay, types of content shared. These are the things, no, and the tracking and measurement to evaluate properties, which includes paid platforms with charts and graphs for reporting analytics. So this is doing social media audit. Uh, that's one option. Number two is public opinion survey. Social media monitoring, that is the listening, no? Because there is a story that is being told by their followers. Website analytics, no? These are the things because right now, if you are specializing in business analytics or advertising or marketing management or marketing communication, you have to understand the importance of these business analytics and different types of measurements. Number of visitors and page views, referring keywords, recent visitors location, inbound link monitoring, user profile data, and bounce rate. No? So these are the different, things that has to be monitored and measured.